Hi everyone, and welcome to Parents and Teachers Working Together. So glad to have you here with me today. And today we have Angela Masumba. She'll be talking to us about a topic that I think is so needed during this time. It's called homeschooling during COVID. And as you're aware, within the UK, we've had three national lockdowns, and the measures which have been put in place has been that people have to work at home, as well as children of all ages having to school, most of them really having to school at home too. So that has really been, I think it's got mixed feelings really, where it has had an impact really on all families and all children really of all ages. So I'm really happy to have Angela with me today. So Angela, you are welcome to Parents and Teachers. This is your first time, isn't it?
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Oh, good. We appreciate it too. And I'm really looking forward to all the things that we'll be discussing today. But before we do start, can you just share a bit about yourself, please?
Yeah, sure. Like I say, I'm Angela Masumba, and I'm a nursery owner of a preschool in Nottingham. I'm also a qualified teacher and have a wealth of experience, should I say. Not to say I'm an expert at all, but lots of...
You have a wealth of experience, you do.
And yeah, I did my BA Honours degree in education as well, so that's helped as well in the role that I'm currently in. I'm also a trustee for Love Early Years, which is a Christian initiative, and a mummy of two little girls. I've got a 5-year-old and a 9-year-old, so yeah.
Oh my, so you have had to homeschool them too, haven't you?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
About homeschooling and that, I know being a nursery manager, it would be nice for you to just talk to us about how that has affected you, the lockdown, the measures that have been put in place. How's that affected you and your team working in the nursery?
Sure. So the first lockdown we did close. We could have remained open for key worker children. However, we didn't have that many. There was only 2 children at the time, so we did close. And my team has got children themselves as well, so we felt that was necessary. And the second and third lockdown, we've remained open, which is great. We were also happy to sort of return really. And I think the parents were grateful as well that we did stay open the second and third time. But in terms of restrictions and things like that, we've managed well. We've put the necessary things in place. The extra hand washing that we've had to do, all those kind of things. Also, the parents aren't able to come into the setting, which we really want. We've always valued that really. We'll have a lovely partnership with parents, and we often had lots of stay in place sessions, so that's not been able to be possible. And obviously social distancing, the parents have had to do that outside when they bring their children and things like that. So yeah, there's quite a lot of measures that we have had to put in place, but it's been manageable. The staff have been positive, the children have been amazing, so resilient, aren't they, children? It's just wow. And they've adapted, they really have. So we've done a lot more outdoor play, outdoor learning. So it's been wonderful. Yeah, it's been good.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice to hear from a manager's perspective, really, how it has affected you, the lockdown and all that. And I know someone did ask, put a question through to you in terms of bubble. Has there been, in school and in secondary school, we've heard about that bubble system. Have you had to have that within the nursery?
Yeah, we have done a bubble system. We've split into 2 bubbles in our preschool. There's currently 35 children in our preschool, so we were able to manage to split them into 2. We've got 2 different rooms, which is great. And obviously the staff were separated as well. So we've been able to do that. Obviously some settings I'm currently working with have just remained as 1 bubble. So if there was a COVID case, then the whole bubble has to be off for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something that we have had put in place. Yeah.
And how is the bubble system in terms of, before, when I worked as a manager, we had like your preschool, your toddler group, your baby group, and all that. Now it's kind of like had to change a bit, hasn't it? Has that affected the children in any way?
Yes and no. We're normally we're in a church hall, so we're normally in one big, large hall. And we cover from the age of 2 to nearly 5. And with the bubble system, we've separated the age groups, whereas normally they've been together. It's worked together, but this time we've separated it because of this reason. But then we've also found on the flip side is that now we've separated them, that the older ones have been able to have a lot more sort of structured learning to prepare them for school. So we've been able to do like more carpet time, only like 10-minute pocket of intervention type things just to prepare them for school, for when they do have to maybe sit for registration or phonics or maths, that kind of thing. And then the 2-year-olds, a lot more free flow play. So it has had its advantages as well.
And I think that's quite comforting for a parent that's listening right now, in terms of how listening to someone who is actually a manager of a nursery. How have all these changes, how has it impacted on children's learning? Definitely. So how can parents then support their child during the lockdown? What do you
well, as a parent myself, I think as well, just from personal experience, I think yes, education is vital, it's important, but I think well-being and mental health is crucial and is of paramount importance. So I think that's the first and foremost and the priority, so to speak, for our children. So I would encourage any parent that's going through this, having to homeschool, is the well-being of the children comes first. And if it is a case of, hang on a minute, doing all this schoolwork is not working, and oh my goodness, it's just a constant battle just to get my child to even sit for sort of 10 minutes some days, it's okay. And it's shut those books, shut that laptop, and go outside, have a play. If you've got a garden, brilliant. And yeah, the well-being is far more important. So yeah, I think that's a good message for any parent that's really sort of struggling as well. But yeah, that was something that I would definitely encourage. Yeah.
And actually, I'm glad you put that in terms of a child's well-being and emotional well-being is very important. And I think the framework, the early years framework, really is designed for children to learn through play. Yeah, because I think for myself, being a parent, when my daughter was going into nursery, I remember I would ask her, so what did you learn today? And she said, oh, I played. I went, huh? Played. So okay, all right. So, I mean, did you not do your ABC and your 1, 2, 3? She says, no. I said, okay, I'll ask every day and she will tell me, oh, we played. And I thought to myself, they're not teaching them anything. They're just I'm playing. And then it was not until I started working as a nursery manager and I then saw the benefits of play. And you're telling us now that the emotional well-being is so important, but that they can still go outside and play. They could actually be learning during those times without them having to sit down and do structured work, isn't it? So
definitely.
How is the early years framework designed for them to learn through play?
I think you've hit the nail on the head, really. It's designed for children to play, and children learn through play, and that's how they are educated. So like you say, it's not just a case of sitting down, this formal kind of regime that you've got to have. Actually, it could be just sat on your lounge floor, building blocks with the children, getting the paints out, you know, and doing those early mark making things with the children, where you think actually this is just a load of paint on a piece of paper, but actually you're teaching the children those mark making, those early literacy skills. So involvement with your children in play is so it's massive. It's really important. And if you've forgotten how to play, just let them lead you seriously, and get into that sort of sustained shared thinking with them, where you just have that dialogue and you connect with each other, have that conversation, where it might be asking open-ended questions, for example, with your children, like, oh, if you're doing a box modeling, for example, oh, how do you think we should fix these wheels on our car that we're making? And it's getting those open-ended questions. It's giving different viewpoints. Oh, what do you think Daddy might think to our car, or, you know, that we've made? And it's just getting engaged with the children. And you really do, when you're playing, you realise what makes your child tick, you know, what their interests are, and you get to know your children a lot more as well, and they get to know you. So it is so important to have that involvement and that play, because like I say, they do learn through play.
I mean, I'm just thinking talking, and I'm thinking about a parent just listening to you right now. You said something about mark making and painting and making those random marks. Actually, just by making those random marks, you can talk about how many marks there are on the piece of paper. You can talk about how the colors that they're doing on the piece of paper. You can talk about, oh, the scribbles, it's going round and round, it's going up, it's going down. I mean, and all those little words themselves, they're there to teach a child in terms of maths, English, physical, learning how to hold the brush, isn't it? So there's a lot going on there. When they're playing.
Definitely, you're right. It's finding those teachable moments through play, like you say, and that's the key, really. Like you say, counting when you're building blocks, or matching games, those kind of things, those teachable moments, and they're the precious moments that you'll find that, a wow moment where a child has counted to 10 and you've not heard it before, or whatever the case may be. And you've teaching them shapes, and hang on, they're on to 3D shapes now, wow. And it's finding those pockets of wow moments, those teachable moments, that do really just make you feel good as a parent as well.
That's nice. So would you say then, I mean, even as they're playing, is routines important too?
Yeah, I think you have to be flexible. I think routines are important, particularly with children with special educational needs as well. We often have in our setting like a timetable of events, so the children know what's coming next, like a now and next board. So they are sort of a good thing to have, so children know what's gonna come, and they can be prepared for that, and you can show them what their next step is, sort of thing. If you're teaching older children, it might be, okay, let's timetable 20 minutes of maths and then 20 minutes of English, or whatever the case may be. So it's good to have some kind of structure. However, I would say that if it's not working on that particular day, don't worry. Like, you know, don't beat yourself up about it. It's, at the end of the day, you don't want your home to be a battle. You know, home is not school. Home is home, where, you know, you and your child should be happy and enjoying being together. So if that routine of that particular day is not working, some days it won't, then don't worry, adapt it. If you've got maybe a child that I don't know, age 8, and they're just fidgeting, they can't sit still, they just want to be all over the place, running around, that's fine. Maybe do a pocket of something, 5 minutes of something, and then, okay, let's go and get the football out, or jump on the trampoline and then come back for another 5 minutes. So it's about knowing your child, I think, really, and what works best. But yeah, it's also good to have that routine as well throughout the day. Yeah, hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I like that thing about you said about the routine and having it being displayed, especially for children with SEN, because we had a question from a parent who said, how do I support my child who's got special educational needs and disabilities? and just won't sit still for an activity, what would you say? You did say something about designing those cards. Did you say it was a routine card?
Yeah, like a timetable of events. So we've got them in our preschool where they're just like visual clues, visual symbols, so the children can see in particular what's coming next. Whether it's
what kind of what would you say should be included in the visual table? So for someone who's at home now, could it be like this is the time you wake up, this is what you do? So how would you describe a visual table for? So I know every child is different.
Yeah,
but what are the main things one should include in that visual timetable?
The main things are obviously wake up, have breakfast. It could be then if you're, I mean, I'm talking from an early years perspective all the time, so it might be it might be that playtime where you get involved with the children, you play a game, and then it might be have a snack. So include that in there. It might be after that we go outdoors and have some fresh air and exercise, a walk to the shops or play in the back garden, whatever it may be. Come back, have lunch. So that might be another key thing. Obviously you've got to factor in there. And then the afternoon activities. So just having those main points that you would have in any other day to ensure.
And you would advise that those activities be short, isn't it? Not so long.
Definitely in the early years.
It helps for the child to be able to engage, because if it's too long, they'll begin to wander away, isn't it? So it's nice if the routines that they have are quite short.
Yes, and definitely with children with special education needs, like you mentioned, just a little pocket of something, just a 5-minute game, or might be matching pairs or a snap game, or I don't know, treasure hunt. We've often with my children play hide and seek, and you won't believe what they learn from just playing that game. And or it might be, we have at preschool, we do it quite a lot, pass the bag, where we sing a song, pass the bag around the circle, and then when the bag stops, that, you know, it's a teaching about listening, it's a teaching about attention, and then the child can open the bag and see what's inside it. So you might want to make something like that, just dead simple. It could be a box if you've got a cardboard box around the home, and then pull out an object, and often our objects in that box revolve around a nursery rhyme. So if it's like a little star, then we might sing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. So you can always adapt that and use those kind of activities with children in the home as well. Just like you say, just short activities that you can pull out the bag literally and give to your children to teach them different skills.
So just listening to that now, I'm wondering now, if a parent doesn't know what to do, for instance, in your nursery, you have like, from what I can remember, you have parents consultations, isn't it, where you meet together and decide the targets for the child and what they should do in terms of each area of learning. Now, how can a parent use that for their child to support them? Because sometimes parents go, but I still don't know what to do. I think that could be the beginning part of, maybe go to the teacher or the manager and just find out, okay, what's my child's learning journal? Is it still called a learning journal now?
It is, yeah. And on that learning journal we'll have next steps.
Yes, the next steps.
Yeah, so it might be to start to turn take, for example. It might be to communicate that they need the toilet. So whatever those next steps may be, we often liaise with the parent, work with the parent. So we're doing the same thing at the preschool and at home. So there's that continuity and consistency, if you like. Yeah.
So I think that's a beginning point for any parent that says, I really don't know what to do with my child. They should just take the learning journal and start from there. Just look at those action points. And if they just do that alone, I think that is a beautiful place to just work with until things change in terms of what the government decides about us being able to go back to some form of normality, isn't it?
Definitely. And if your child settings got any sort of online way of communicating, like we use an app called Family, spelt without the I. So on there we'll post pictures and communicate with the parents, put their next steps on their learning journal, so they've always got access to that. So because obviously things are a bit hard at the moment and we haven't got that face-to-face as much as that we'd like, then there's that option as well.
Okay, that's nice. Okay, so also you had a question in terms of a parent said, what if my child says to me that you're not my teacher, so I don't need to listen to you?
Yeah.
Do then?
And you can totally relate. I mean, at the end of the day, most of us aren't teachers, you know, and we've got all these hats on now, like that. It's crazy, but I think the important thing is to empathise with the child, because there's been a shift and there's a lot going off in that head, to empathise with the child, saying, yeah, okay, I'm not your teacher, but I love you, and at the moment this is what we've got to do, and we're going to help each other, and just have that support network, and always communicate and encourage your child to express their feelings, and vice versa as well. Just have that good dialogue with your child, because that's the important bit, especially in these times where you've got to be like kind of negotiating space at home and getting used to all toddler toys everywhere, and you're perhaps trying to work from home yourself, and it can be very difficult, and totally empathise. It's challenging.
I know, and I think, like you've just said, I think sometimes when you show that empathy and you go, okay, I'm not your teacher, so what do you want us to do today?
Exactly.
I think that's a lovely way to start. Okay, yes, it's so true. Okay, so what do you want us to do today? And maybe then they can plan the day, how the day is going to look like. And they just might then decide to say, you know what, I think I love this day today, and we're going to do it. Yeah. Okay. So I don't. What I'm getting from this discussion is that it doesn't have to be perfect.
No, not at all.
It doesn't have to be like you're in. You don't have to bring nursery into the home, you know.
And I think that's good for the adult as well, for your own sanity, isn't it? You shouldn't have to feel pressure that you've got to do X, Y, Z and to fill all this criteria on the EYFS. No, it's not about that. It's just about enjoying each other at this time and supporting one another. Yeah.
So true. So what resources can parents then refer to?
There's quite a number of resources. If you've got online access, brilliant, because there's loads of things. I know some people have, some people haven't, but just a few things that you can access online. If you go to the Love Early Years website and click resources on the top there's lots of good, useful information, blogs, videos that parents can use and can read about to support their children during lockdown. So that's a really, really good one. If you're wanting to teach your children and thinking, oh, where do I start? I haven't got a clue, like maths is so different from what it is when I used to do it in my day, kind of thing. There's some really good online like apps and things that you can use. There's one called TT Rockstars, which my children tap into every now and again, which is fantastic. They're learning all sorts of things, but in my head I was thinking, whoa. But that's a really good one. You could tap into Purple Mash, it's called. I don't know if you've heard of Purple Mash. That's a great one as well.
Oh yes, I think I've seen the video on Purple Mash.
Right.
The ladies talking. Yeah.
Yeah, and that covers from the early years all the way through the key stages. So that's a really, really good one. I've also seen on the government website, it's called the Oak National Academy. And on there's massive loads of resources, and the lessons are already done. They're literally, because that's another thing, if you're worrying about, oh my goodness, how am I going to plan XYZ on this criteria on the national curriculum or the EYFS, it's all there already. It's all the lessons are already done, which is great, you know, that you can dip into that if need be. And it's good to have a mixture and a variety. There's BBC Bite Size as well. That's a really good tool. So there's lots of things. I think it's really important obviously now we're getting into this era of using online and computers a lot more as technology, to have those communications with your children about online safety as well.
Yeah.
I know, you know, my 5-year-old's quite good at now coming to me and saying, oh mum, this is on the laptop or on the phone or whatever, can I download it? They always ask the question, they ask for the permissions, and I'll look at it and say, oh actually no, that's for a 12-year-old, not a 5-year-old, sorry darling, kind of thing. So it's good to make them aware of, you know, that safety aspect. So yeah, that's a good important thing to do. And also on that government website as well that I just mentioned, there's loads of information on online safety as well. So again, if you can access that, that's great.
And I also saw that Barnardos, they're doing something like see, hear and respond as for people who have vulnerable children. They can go there and they can get a lot of support for their child.
Okay,
So
that's good.
another,
That's brilliant.
another website.
So,
And the Early Years Alliance, I saw that too, where they've got a lot of resources.
oh, they have, yeah. That's definitely a good one.
Children that who have got special educational needs. So that's another good input. So do you have any other ideas for parents before we end? Or anything else to tell a parent that may be listening?
Ideas. What's worked in the preschool for us, we've done a lot of scavenger hunts where we can draw pictures on a piece of paper, and we've done this a lot outside, so it might be just drawing a twig, you don't have to be really good at art. It might be just drawing a bird, and then we've gone out with the children and we see if we can spot those things. So again, you're looking at objects, you're looking at, I don't know, for birds, so you're getting those literacy skills in there, and mark making and those types of things. So that's quite a nice one that's really worked for us as well. And like I say, the pass the bag one's a good one to use, or even getting a tray of objects, putting a blanket over and then taking one away, and then the child's got to guess which one you've removed. So like a memory game as well. So all those sorts of things, if you haven't got like online access, just doing little pockets of those kind of things as well, and you're going to fulfill the EYFS and other outcomes as well. So don't necessarily have to worry, if you like, about having that access all the time, you know, because it's nice to be involved with your children and you know, and play with them, like we spoke about. So
because you just said the scavenger hunt, and I'm just trying to assure parents that even though the child is playing, you have said that they can learn how English. So, you know, the EYF is divided into 7 areas of learning. Yeah, that's right. So you've got
the prime areas. Yeah.
So you've got, if you can just say them for me, because I might just
So you've got your prime areas, first of all, your physical development, your personal, social and emotional, your those kind of main prime key areas that are really, really important, your communication and language, and then your specific areas, which goes a bit more deeper. So like your maths, there's an expressive arts and design area, technology, all those kind of things. So prime areas are your main focus, first of all, for early years, and then
the prime areas are the English, is that it? English,
communication, physical, and language, physical development, and personal, social and emotional.
Personal, social. And so we see that just staying on those 3 areas alone, which are the prime areas, because you said if we can help a child's personal, social and emotional development by just keeping them calm during this epidemic, we're actually fulfilling one of the prime areas.
Definitely.
And then you've spoken about English, and just having conversations with your children, be it outside or inside, that again is building those prime areas. And you've talked about, was it physical development?
Development, so and going on daily walks.
Your daily walk in itself is fulfilling those that prime area alone. So that's quite comforting to say to a parent, you don't have to stress yourself so much. Just doing just those 3 areas alone, and they are learning a lot, aren't they?
That's right. Definitely, without a doubt. Perfect, isn't it? And I think that's what's good about the EYFS, really. You know, it's having those fundamental, those key things that children need to support their learning. So yeah.
Oh, Angela, thank you so much. We could go on and on. I can't see any other questions right now. I think we've answered them as we spoke. So,
well, thank you for having me.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming on and being a part of Parents and Teachers today.
Oh, anytime. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay then, bye.